Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to the inaugural episode of Tre4Three. I'm your titular host, Trey, and from here on out, I'm going to be bringing you the best content the internet has to offer when in the realms of professional football, with a sprinkle of collegiate, pop culture, and the culture that drives it, and lastly, of course, all things Baltimore Ravens. And before I continue, I can't help but go on a quick little tangent real quick, just to talk about my experience and history as a Ravens fan. I was born a year after the team was founded, for those of you who know what year that is. My pops was Baltimore raised, but, given that we didn't have a team back then, hadn't had one since the Colts left, he was somewhat of a 49ers fan at the time. Of course, once the Ravens was founded, though, he was essentially an instant fan, and that's what I was born into. So that's where my story begins. Then, naturally, growing up, I was a Ray Lewis fan. He was my favorite football player. I had his jersey. He used to imitate, the little squirrel dance, whole nine. Um, Though honestly, at that age, I wasn't much of an actual fan of football. Definitely closing in on like the super casual status. Nowhere close to the student or the historian of the game that I would consider myself to be these days. I don't think I attended my first game till I was in middle school. And it was a preseason game at that, Ravens versus Vikings. I don't think I'll ever forget that one. Though I don't remember which season that was, ironically. I could probably look that up, quick search of the preseason schedules and whatnot from when I was in middle school. It wasn't until college that I went to my first regular season game, and that was during that now somewhat infamous 14-2 season. And it was who we play against. That was at home against Too Cool for School Kyler. For those of you who get that one, and against him and the Cardinals. Um, and now this tangent has honestly gone on a bit longer than I told myself that it could when I was starting it. But long story short, I vividly remember our run to the Super Bowl back in 2012. And after witnessing all that, it's like, there's no way I couldn't be a Ravens fan. It was around that time, and really honestly, probably a couple years after I really started to, start to dissect football, not just watch it, but kind of consume it, like really become a fan. Um, but as I was saying, before that, for the fanatic in me slipped out there, this channel is mainly going to be news and updates and discussions based on football in general and the Ravens specifically, and things going on in the culture for real. And when I say discussion, I do mean actual discussion. Like the majority of my videos aren't going to be just me reading words off a script while staring directly into the soul of my camera and y'all on the other end. But I mean, yeah, I do think my opinion and views matter to some extent. Or honestly, I wouldn't even make this channel. But I definitely don't think mine are the only views that matter for real or have value. Um, uh, to prove that, what I'm going to mainly going to be doing is two things. The first is to include questions and topics from submitted from listeners and people who view my content both on here, wherever you may be listening to this at, and on my social media sites. And whether that's going to be live answers, like in the form of Q&A format type of thing, or whether that's going to be stuff where fans can actually send me things and I can respond to it in pre-recorded content. So it's either going to be that real-time interaction with you guys as y'all send me questions in the chat while I'm live streaming or something like that. I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of that. Or it's going to be that pre-recorded content and mainly using that stuff and responses in the comments from those things that I post on social media. I'll be dropping details soon on how you can become a patron of mine on Patreon and help support and fund the channel if you feel so inclined. I would appreciate that. It certainly won't be necessary or a requirement to pay in order to have your question or comment addressed all the time, but I definitely will appreciate tips and donations, and I'll have things set up for patrons and people who do decide to pay, where their questions and comments will have priority over those who don't and will be addressed first, just as a perk of spending your cold hard cash. Um, Outside of that, more details will be coming. Then the other way that I feel like I'll facilitate discussion is by actually bringing guests on to talk about topics with me. So it's not just going to be me, like I said. So I'm going to be having people on most of the times. Well, not most of the time. Sometimes it'll be one guest. Sometimes multiple guests. Sometimes it'll be friends that I have on with me. Sometimes professionals or experts in their field. Hopefully some celebrities in time too. That would be lit. And just like with my solo videos, listeners will be able to engage with those guests and send in questions and things of the sort. I honestly have yet to determine the frequency of my postings outside of when there's like breaking news and I have to get something out ASAP. That's one thing. But mainly because of as I am now, I'm still working a full-time job until this becomes self-sustaining and probably even afterwards. Honestly, maybe not something full-time, maybe part-time afterwards. But essentially, this will never. Uh, for the foreseeable future, I can say this will never be my only job. Um, and considering that I do have a child, I can say that I guess forever this will never be my only job. But anyways, who knows? At one point, it may just be being a dad in this. Uh, Either way, though, I'm super excited to finally get this up and running. It's been a brainchild of mine for a few years now. Do feel free to leave me comments with tips and suggestions on what you would like to see from the channel and how I can improve upon it. I'll definitely take any and all of that into consideration. So feel free. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, check out the podcast wherever you can get it, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Tre4Three. Till next time we convene, peace.